Every YouTuber, every photographer, from Tallahassee to the Norwegian fjords have asked this one question. If I could only pick one lens, which one would it be? Cameras are freaking expensive, but you know something? Lenses can also be quite expensive, especially if you want to buy several lenses. Now, unless you're a crypto millionaire, you're gonna have to make some tough decisions. Which lens or lenses are you gonna get? Well, the good news is that most of the time, I'd say like 90% of the time, every person with a camera usually uses one lens. Like 90% of the time, it's one lens that they use. For myself personally, it's the Samyang 35mm f1.4. It's this one. So if you really think about it, you only really need one lens. One lens to rule them all. Oh, you wanna know which one I would pick? Oh, that's easy, but it's not this one. Let's do this. Hello, my name is Tom, and this channel is all about cameras and lenses. And if you feel like helping out a small, tiny YouTuber, a like would be extremely appreciated. And if you want to see more content like this, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. So the lens market, it's a bit of a scam. There are so many lenses to pick from and people get confused, and so they get a lot of these lenses. Now I remember when I was switching up from Micro Four Thirds to Sony full frame cameras, I had to switch out my lenses. Man, I remember my first strategy that I would only have one or two lenses. But as time moved on, so did my collection of lenses. I have a whole bunch of Sony full frame lenses. But the thing is, as I mentioned in the intro, 90% of the time I use the Samyang 35mm f1.4 because it fits most of my needs. Now I'm gonna explain which lens I would pick, but first I need to make it absolutely crystal clear that what lens you pick really depends on what you're mostly gonna be using it for. So, for example, if you're a bit of a variety content creator, you know, you shoot portraits, you shoot landscape, everything, I would suggest something like this. This is the Tamron 28 to 75mm. It's quite fast, f2.8, but it's not the fastest lens in the world. But still, this is very versatile and I really recommend it. Now, if you have a couple of more bucks and you want a bit of a wider lens, you could consider getting the Sigma 24 to 70mm f2.8. That's a really good lens too. Now, if you plan to have like a fixed position like this, like vlogging like I do, I would consider something like the 35mm or maybe even 50mm. 50mm is also quite handy. You get a very tight shot and your face doesn't look too crazy. Like 35 to 50, that's a real sweet spot. What I'm shooting with now is 85. It's okay, but I had to move it like far away, so maybe you don't have the space. So 35 to 50mm, that's your sweet spot. And then you can spend your money extra to get something like at least f1.8 to get something like really nice, rich and creamy bokeh, right? Now, if you want to vlog like handheld, I would suggest something a lot wider. Maybe something like a 24mm. This is the Samyang 24 f1.8. I really like this lens and I use it sometimes for my personal vlog. If you want to check out my personal vlog, the link is in the video description. But if you want something even more tiny, I think this one it's not too heavy, it's kind of small and compact, so it works brilliantly with the Sony a7C that I'm shooting with. But if you want something even more compact, you can go for something like this. This is the Samyang 24mm f2.8. And as you can see, like the difference is that this one is like almost half its size. So this is a good lens too. Okay, so let's get down to it. If I had to sell all my lenses, and trust me, one day I actually might do that because deep inside, I'm a bit of a minimalist and I don't like having a whole bunch of lenses and a whole bunch of cameras. It's just that I really like having lots of lenses and lots of cameras. It's a bit of a hobby for me, but I really hate the idea of having so many lenses. So if money is a bit tight for me and I need to free up as much capital as I possibly can, and I had to sell all my lenses except one, which one would it be? Now I already did give you a hint that it would most likely not be the 35mm f1.4, even though this is my favorite lens, even though this is the lens that I use most of the time, like 90-95% of the time, it is still not the lens that I would pick. I've been giving this a lot of thought, and if I could only pick one lens, it would be the variety lens, the Tamron 28-75mm f2.8. And the reason is because I use my camera for a lot of things. Sometimes I do shoot landscape, sometimes I shoot weddings, portrait photos, I vlog with my camera, and I just feel like I can get everything that I need from this one. You know, this is the lens to rule them all. Now, there are some people who would say that you should probably get something like the Sigma 24-70. Personally, I think that one is a bit big for my taste. Like, it's quite chunky, it's quite heavy, and this one isn't too heavy, it's not too big, and I really like it. It's very versatile, and I think this is good enough. Now, speaking of the low light performance of the f2.8, you're not gonna get a lot of bokeh on this thing, but you can get some. And most of the time, bokeh is this little trick that YouTubers use to, you know, spice things up, but you can achieve that bokeh look, you know, just playing around a bit with distance between you and the camera and the background. It is possible to get bokeh with this lens. I would argue that if you have a good lighting situation, you can absolutely use this thing. Like, I have a studio lamp in my studio, and I would have no problem shooting this video with the Tamron 28-75mm. And one thing that I also do like about this lens is that it's not too expensive. So if you drop it, you lose it or whatever, it's very easy to replace. When some of my lenses, they are so expensive that, like, I sometimes am afraid to taking it with me in case I get mugged or something like that. But with this lens, it's like, go ahead, take it, Mr. Thief. This lens will provide you with a lot of joy, as it has for me. You know, like, this is a really affordable lens, and you get a lot of value as far as sharpness is concerned and everything. And so, no, for my personal needs, if I could only pick one lens, it would be this one, hands down. But I would be really curious to know which lens you would pick if you could only pick one lens in your arsenal. That would be really interesting for me to know. Please put it in the comment section below. And that's all I had for today, folks. So I'll see you in the next one. Take care.
I work hard each and every day. I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no, I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say